Really?
Yeah, I wish it had come out. So much work went into that. I mean, it may have just been a huge bomb, but so much work went into like the art, and that was our like one and only chance we ever got to create our own initial IP, and none of it ever came out. So all the story stuff that was written, all the work
Yeah.
that Greg, like the game engine, I thought was really unique. I don't know if it would have held the test of time as far as staying balanced, but it was very unique and fun to play. It was a lot like playing a miniatures game with cards.
Yeah. Definitely was its own. So, hmm. As far as Dragon Ball goes, uh, I guess the two main regrets that I would have is one, um, I guess, kind of really not having enough balls or enough political intelligence, because I feel that, kind of looking back, that if different things would have played out, or if stands were made with people at different times and stuff, maybe we would have been able to keep GT from becoming what it was as it was released, you know. But that's more of kind of like that whole second guessing yourself type of regrets. And honestly, I don't know even if we would have been able to, like as Garrett said, oh, we're all gonna walk out unless it's this way, because the upper management, especially Bill Dully, would have definitely been like, oh, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
Yeah.
You know,
We were also really young comparatively to the amount of responsibilities we had
hmm
compared to other companies and other people in those positions. I mean, we were all in our early 20s, really.
That's the reason why they kept calling us kids.
Yeah, I mean, they treated us like children a lot of times. It took maybe 2 or 3 years there before people stopped referring to me as kid, and I think they'll pretty much always refer to you as kid the entire time
Yeah,
there.
pretty much. And that's why Chaz was the old man for the short period he was there. But I guess my only other regret would be not being a better Dragon Ball Z player during our playtesting times from Cell Saga onwards. Because there were a few times where there were some cards that were kind of quite obvious that they needed to be changed or not released, like Tapcar or Cosmic Backlash. There are a lot more on that list. I just named those two because those are the two most prominently hated cards in Dragon Ball Z. And the reason why like those cards didn't get changed, or it took so much to finally do something about them, is because I would lose the arguments and discussions on card balance, because no matter what deck that I made and played, another deck would be found to always beat it. So like when Tapcar, was literally pillaging the countrysides, just devastating. I would take like every net decked Tapcar deck that was winning tournaments, like the Namekian Toss variant and the Pure Black variants and the, all these different variants. But, like Q would be able to make this ultimate deck that no matter what, against every Tapcar variant that I played against it, it would always win. In this specific scenario, it was a black Gohan deck that South Kai'd for Chi-Chi and also ran the Gohan that did a physical block. So you had two personality physical blocks to block any Cosmic Backlash variants. Ran Black Scouts, played more of a control type of game of trying to stretch it out, because when Tapcar was originally designed, that was the whole idea of, well, he gets supreme card advantage, but he dies really quickly. He's only going to have a couple turns to live, and then he's going to burn himself out. And so Q was always able to play it out to where if it were Namekian Toss or Cosmic variants, he would always be able to pace it out and protect himself until he got the crucial Black Scout. And if it were more survival variants, he would be able to just basically kind of stay toe-to-toe but pace the game out longer, being a little bit more defensive until Tapcar burned itself out. And if I would have been kind of better with either my debating skills and convincing people without it needing to go to a game, hey, this needs to be changed. Or if I would have just been a better player and actually proved through gameplay, yes, this is super beefy, then we would have been able to fix a couple of things a lot quicker, or at least not with as much of score looking like idiots when it comes to actual balancing. But overall, like, I don't really regret a lot of things because life has kind of shown me that you don't learn from doing it right. So
yeah, I agree. I agree on that.
The only way to make yourself better is to learn. And so a lot of the decisions and stuff I would actually not want to change, because then I might not have learned those lessons. I might not be a better designer or a better person today because I never would have experienced those mistakes and had to go, oh, okay, let's not do that again. Let's learn from that. So that's why I had to actually sit there and think of stuff as far as regrets, because in the overall scheme of things, like, I really don't regret much because I learned so much from score. So much. And I couldn't have learned near half of it if I wouldn't have made the decisions that I made.
I have one more thing. I don't know if I call it a regret, but it's like, I would think like the biggest waste of time that I did at Score was I've probably played more games of Yu Yu Hakusho than any other game during my time at Score. Because when I first got there and I got hired on full time, we would playtest GT and we would playtest Yu Yu Hakusho, and we'd go like do a month of one and do a month of the other. We were all really, like, GT went pretty quick. Like, GT was a pretty easy game to playtest comparatively. Yu Yu Hakusho, I think we spent 3 or 4 months on one set of Yu Yu Hakusho, the third set, Gateway. And
yeah,
we would
IQ's final set.
Yeah, and I've played thousands and thousands of games, and that game, Yu Yu Hakusho, in some of the, before, like the first version of Gateway, we would sit down and play. Like, I sit down and I played a guy, and we started playing when I first got to work at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and we finished up at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, and we were still playing one game. Like, I just remember playing games like that, and I'd be like, can we just stop playing at like the 50-minute mark? And they're like, no, we need to know like how long it's actually taking you guys to finish games. And I was just like, wow, that's a big waste of manpower. If your games are going well over 50 minutes, there's a problem there. You need to change the pacing of your game.
Oh, my poor game.
Yu Yu Hakusho, like, I think Yu Yu Hakusho the game engine was very, very good. Just one of those the first set of Yu Yu Hakusho, like the actual core mechanics, I think were really good. Yu Yu Hakusho is actually kind of important in a lot of ways because it's where the post Dragon Ball Z design staff kind of cut their chops. Almost everybody that made cards that wasn't involved in the initial like Dragon Ball Z sets, all the first cards they made for games were in the last couple sets of Yu Yu Hakusho, which is one of the reasons why all the Yu Yu players out there will probably be able to pick up on this, but like the sets are so drastically different and the cards are so drastically written inside of a set because you had like 3 or 4 people making cards, and it was all the first cards that they ever got to make. Like the first cards I ever got to make ended up being in like the 4th rewrite of Gateway. And having seen those cards and how they came out and what Yu Yu Hakusho turned into was almost a coin flip. Like whoever had the quickest combo deck would win, or whoever got to go first and win, and things like that. We all kind of learned like really quickly what not to do in card games. Like there are just certain things you just don't do. You don't make tons of card drawing cards. You don't make tons of recursion cards and things like that, which kind of helped later on when it came time to make like Yu Yu Hakusho and Bleach and some of the later games that we all had to make. Epic Battles.
Yeah, you have a very good point. I didn't think about that. I think like Ake and Sean post-Coke. No, I think, did Sean get to make some Yu Yu card set?
No.
I don't remember.
What I mean by the Yu Yu Hakusho group, I mean people like Kunkel, me,
you, Mike,
Gibson, Sager, Ake probably a little bit in Yu Yu Hakusho. But that core group of people who became very basically that's the group of people that went on after Z ended, and it was the Inuyasha show there for about 2 years. That was the group of people that was involved in that, and we all cut our teeth on Yu Yu Hakusho because Z, like I was saying, Z and GT. That was at that point everybody, like all the people who worked there were past Z players, so it was really easy to playtest GT because everybody already understood how that the game mechanics worked and what worked inside the game. Like we could immediately just look at a list and be like, we don't even need to play with that card, sir. That card's overpowered.
Well, all the playtesters that were Z players, at that time, going in the GT, we actually started having playtesters that, came from other gaming backgrounds, and so
after GT we did once we moved into the years we started doing Inuyasha and we were developing Dragon Booster, Case Closed, Fruits Baskets, Afterworld, all
Sonic.
Those games. Sonic, yeah, that's when we had like our most diverse group of playtesters. But before that, it was like me, Kunk, Gibson, Haluka, Jimmy Watson, those people, and we were all mainly Z players at that point.
Yeah. Although, that does remind me of, I guess, two other things that I guess I could regret. The first one being ever mentioning in a meeting that the Bible could be used as an IP. Because eventually the Donruss playoff group came out with a Bible Quest line of action figures.
That statement he said there, 3 years down the line, eventually led to me designing a Bible board game.
Yeah.
Being first board game the Score ever produced.
Yeah, we were in this meeting and we were having arguments about, we were going over IPs of what we could potentially try to get for our next games and whatnot. We're having arguments over like what people really have seen and what haven't, because I even remember arguing with Will, because that's where the sarcastic comment came in, because we were talking about maybe doing The Sopranos, and The Sopranos was on the list. And he's like, everybody knows and sees The Sopranos. I'm like, no, they haven't. I've never seen it and don't ever plan to. There's millions of me out there that are going to be like that. And then I made off the quip, look, if we're arguing about what's been seen the most, let's just, the Bible. Everybody knows the Bible. And that started a little chain reaction of the company investigating it and finding out about that one other Christian company that did like this terrible little Bible TCG. And that just kind of eventually grew and grew to the entire Bible Quest line. And I kind of regret having to put anybody through the design or marketing experience of that.
Huh.
So, and then I guess my other regret is, and in a backwards way, Dragon Booster. Not that I regret ever making it or designing it, but I regret that it is probably my most favorite game I've designed that nobody's ever played. Like, I soaked so much sweat, blood, and soil into that game. The in-game design revision was 10.7.2. So I had made 9 previous game design engines that were completely scrapped. And this final game design engine still went through 7 major revamps and 2 minor revamps before it finally got to where it was. But
talk about Dragon Booster?
Yeah.
I dropped the call there. I missed most of that rant.
Oh, my bad. Yeah,
that's all right. I know this story. I don't want to relive it.
I spent so much freaking time on it, man. And like, I'm really happy as far as a TCG goes of what came out of Dragon Booster. It has its 3 to 4 dominant decks, but it has its like little color wheel of colors that are stronger against others. The actively playable sideboard and a lot of things that were done with it. Like, in the end, I was extremely happy with. But to have the second place World Championship Dragon Booster trophy sitting in my apartment because there was only one person that showed up to the World Championships kind of puts a little frown inside.
And who was that one person, out of curiosity?
I don't know. I don't remember.
They didn't get the trophy because Josh has the World Championship trophy, the big one.
Oh, does he?
I have the rest of them. I use them as the whole paint when I paint.